Hello and welcome to I'm Not a Player, I'm a Gamer podcast. Your regular host Miles here. I am seemingly starting every single podcast with the exact same intro of thank you so much everyone for the feedback I've been getting. Something that I wanted to do, turning into something that people actually enjoy listening and watching is still surreal to me, but I'm super appreciative of everyone getting involved. Every single week I've been having amazing different guests on. We've had people directly involved in the business. We've had some content creators. We've had some awards hosts. And today I have got a host and commentator, amongst other things to be said. I'm joined by Tiffany, aka SpiderTiff. Hi, Tiffany. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. As always, I appreciate anyone who's willing to come on. There are different time zones that we're working with. I have the luxury of the UK, and a lot of people I've had on have been all over the States and everywhere else. So I always appreciate any time that people have for me. For anyone who's listening in who will not know who you are,
Mhm.
first of all, how dare they? But second of all, who is Tiffany? What do you do, and what is your involvement with the world of sports and gaming?
It's so crazy because every time I get this question, I just have no idea where to go. And people, they'll like so eloquently put who they are. And I feel like sometimes I'm still trying to figure it out. But if you don't know who I am, that's okay. My name is Tiffany. I'm a full-time commentator and host in the esports realm. But before that, I was also a streamer and I've been streaming on Twitch since 2019. You can typically find me more in the FPS genre of like Call of Duty Warzone, Apex Legends, but I also like to dabble in the horror games such as like Resident Evil or anything spooky. Like I love a good thrill. But for the most part, prior to that, I worked in corporate risk management. I had a normal corporate job, went to school, and in my prior life, which sounds crazy because I'm not that old, I was a full-time amateur motocross racer. So I get a lot of questions on all my helmets in the back.
I was gonna say at some point I'll have to dive in on them because I always find that whenever I get people on, and the reason I love doing the videos, everyone has their different setups and the backdrops of what they show.
Yep.
I've been blessed with for people watching. I still have my esports stuff, but then I have some roses because it's just been my partner's birthday, so we got some roses and she
Oh,
managed to split some off for me. So and I said, but yeah, you look in the backdrop of yourself. Yeah, we'll have to get into them helmets for sure. You mentioned early on that you're involved with Apex a lot.
yep.
And we haven't had people on talking about Apex Legends. So I'm not going to ask you to try and sell the game to people, but like, what are the aspects of that game that you particularly enjoy, like when it comes to doing your casting with it, or even I guess playing it as well?
Yeah, it's been a really interesting past couple of days, maybe past week for Apex Legends, the community as a whole. It's been in a lot of the news. It's been all over the timeline. I'm sure you guys have seen it. I am not a cyber specialist, so I really won't delve into that too much, but I've been keeping up to date since I just got back today. I was up in Jersey with the family. And to begin my journey just in streaming, it was actually the first game that I ever streamed. And it was really interesting because it launched in, I believe, like February 2019. I started streaming, I think, in August. So I played that game within like 2 months of it dropping, and I just fell in love with it. My husband loves it. My whole family, like we play it. And I just kind of kept tabs into it. So when I started commentating maybe a few years prior, I think it was about a year and a half after Apex launched that I started getting into commentating. But my path was actually through Warzone. So it's always been battle royales. And the moment that the opportunity was like, oh my gosh, you cast, do you want to do Apex? I was like 100%, like put me on the mic right now. Like I'm in it. I know this game. I love this game. It's just been kind of like you know how when you grow into something, like you grow personally, but you also have this thing that you're doing and you just kind of grow simultaneously.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
just kind of been that for me. And I love everyone that I've gotten to work with. I've even met like some of the voice actors are amazing in the community. Just the community around Apex Legends, they care so much. And it's been really cool to see and a fun journey to be a part of.
Yeah, and like transitioning, I guess, from Warzone to Apex was how did you find that difference was moving from two different games? As obviously they play completely differently. They have completely different elements.
Yeah.
Obviously, they both link to being a battle royale, but there's so many
Mhm.
differentials between the two. How did you find that sort of transition? Or I guess
It,
bouncing back and forth because I guess it's not like
yeah.
transition, but it's a
It's definitely tough, right? Because the way I look at when I commentate a game, I want to make sure that I am into that. Like I will only work on games that I know and love and that I play myself, because I personally do not want to be known for someone that just like walks in. I don't play this video game. I clearly don't have the knowledge associated with it, because I really pride myself in being, you know, as accurate as humanly possible, staying up with all the patch notes, staying up with all the players, making sure that I'm keeping it's tough, right? Because in battle royales, it's not just like a simple 5v5 and attack shooter where you just have a couple teams of like 4 to 5 people that you have to really keep knowledge on. It's hundreds of players that are playing in different regions. So it is really, really tough. But at the end of the day, the games are similar enough that the bare bones structure of like rotating in, playing zone versus playing edge, positioning at large, but keeping up to date with all of the different abilities, the upgrades, and then you've got the perks in Warzone, all the new things they add. So every time that I kind of bounce back and forth, luckily a lot of the casters that I work with also work on both games. So let's just say someone hits me up and they're like, hey, I would love to work with you on a Warzone event. And it's like, I just came off of fresh of working a month and a half of Apex Legends straight. So the first thing that I'm going to do is well, first off, I still play Warzone on the side, but it's more of like, I'm taking a deep dive into making sure that I'm dropping into Urzikstan or whatever map is happening, pulling up map changes, the recent patch notes. I'm constantly watching streams of people that play competitive Warzone, and I'll kind of pull them up and keep up to tabs. I'll also go back and watch any prior tournaments that I might not have been a part of to see any like performances. One of my friends also runs a website called warzoneearnings.com, which will log any tournament above $1,000 and like keep everyone's like earnings in check. And it'll show you like their average placement in tournaments.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's just a lot of really good resources for that aspect of it. So it just depends on how much time do I have to prep, because most people don't realize, I know I said this recently on when someone else asked me, it's like, we don't just get paid. People assume that we get paid a set amount all the time, like a salary, but we only actually get paid for that broadcast day. So on like as a freelancer. So it's like, I do all of this work ahead of the time, which if you factor out the hours that we put in, you would be like, oh my God, like you're not making anything at the end of the day, right? Like, so it's really tough to make sure, but I'm just one of those people that it's like, if I know I'm working on an event, I will make sure that I have the most current information. I don't want to say outdated stuff because it's live. People are going to see it. First off,
Oh, chat
I'm
will
not
be all over it as well. You know that for
yeah,
sure.
I don't want to deal with that, right? Like I sometimes I'll have an issue where like if I'm tired, I'll say a word like, wait, I'll get stuck on a word. Do you know how some people like you hear a word and then you're like, oh, I've said that 5 times in the past hour. Probably shouldn't say that word as a descriptive word anymore and like burn it from my brain. That can happen to me sometimes if I'm like absolutely exhausted.
Mhm.
And the DMs, they're just like, that girl, she said this word way too many times. And I see stuff and it's like, they blinked 5 times. Oh my God. It's like, dude, they're human.
Yeah, that's
They're
something people do.
Yeah, they do. But yeah,
I
I
can't
just
even
prep.
imagine the chat. I say this all the time with anyone that whenever I see them on Twitch or anything else, like the job that people do just monitoring like when it's an award show, if it's an event, monitoring chat, but then just it must like the reason one of the reasons that I want to get a lot of like women involved in the positives is to shine the light on, first of all, how amazing they are in the industry. Like everyone just always assumed with gaming it's always been a male based industry, but like 40% of it is based around women that people don't even appreciate, and the abuse that you guys must get just for little things is. How difficult does it make it when it comes to doing like these shows? Like, how much time do you spend looking back at like the chat or looking at comments on pages, or do you have to like concentrate on what you're doing and shut off from that?
So during a live broadcast, I typically won't be watching chat now, and that's because I don't want to see that stuff, right?
Yeah.
That if you read a comment, even if you know you're locked tight, you're like, I've got this, nothing's gonna tear me down. Sometimes it can still do it. You can just see one little thing, so it's like I don't read it unless the production that I'm working with requires me to have some level of interaction with the chat, where they're like wanting me to do call outs and wanting me to interact a little bit. Then 100%, I will be like, mentally noted, turn that brain on. You're going to be interacting with chat. Know that this could potentially happen. But other than that, we're already worried about so many different things. Like, so let's just take a random broadcast, for example, if I've got map feed, if I've got my observer feed, if I've got producers in my ear and I've got Discord chat and I've got someone giving me some stats, which, you know, sometimes that happens. Some of my talent on ALGS, like they'll love to like put in little tidbits of things. Like if they, even if they're not working that day, they'll be watching the broadcast or watching some feeds and be like, hey, just so you know, I saw this. So it's really cool. But when you've got all these different things going at you, why add that extra level of me reading chat that is going to potentially have people commenting negative things? It's like, that's just a whole other level that I don't personally want to deal with. And it's true, as a female, you typically do take a lot of comments that, like, if I say one thing, even if it's perfectly accurate, I could catch flack from it. But if I have someone that is potentially not female, they might not get that, and vice versa. Like, there's so many different stipulations of a level of talent that's going to catch different areas of it. But at the end of the day, like, I grew up in a male dominated industry. I went into the corporate world, which was a male dominated industry, in my industry of field, and then gaming. So it's like, I've been at this my whole life. And at the end of the day, like, I just work hard, and I just hope that people see my work at the end of the day and judge me based on my work and not for who I am, or like what I look like on the outside, or what what I've got. Like, I'm just here to put my best foot forward and do all the players justice. And at the end of the day, that just kind of has to be enough for me.
Yeah, I love what you mentioned about the fact that people must always have this assumption that when they hear all these casting and commentators, that, like you said, it's a salary, and they assume, oh, it's 365 days a year, they'll get paid every month, and it's perfectly fine.
Nope.
Like, they do not realize, like, when I had Spaceman Sean Rogers on, and he was saying the exact
Love
same, like,
Spaceman.
the amount of hours and dedication that it takes, but also when you're commentating or casting on games that are changing weekly, where the guns are getting buffed, or they're, like you said, there's everything's going on. You have to stay relevant. So it's not an assumption, but you have to put the grind in to be at the top of the game. Like, there's lots of people that you can see who are at the top of the game, and everyone just thinks, oh, they're popular and they're going to stay there. They don't realize, like, the hours that people are putting in, and that's something that you never hear. And it's refreshing to actually hear. The honesty of it is that it is a tough job. It is not just sitting there watching someone play a video game and speaking your thoughts. Like, it takes days and days, if not weeks, of preparation.
And something that you mentioned there, it's like, they just must be good at their job. They could just keep locking in the jobs. They can stay there. No. The moment you hit the top, that is where that target is on your back. That sounds crazy, but it's like, just because you have reached the top level does not mean you can stay there. The bar will always need to be raised. You will always need to keep improving, because if not, everyone else that's working and grinding and keeps putting in those hours and keeps going, they're going to keep doing that. But also, like, you have to, like, not worry about what everyone else is doing and focusing on your lane. At the end of the day, there is not going to be anyone else that is like you on a broadcast. You are always going to be you, and you cannot look at other talent and be like, you know what? I didn't get this because so-and-so got this. It's never that. It's like, you are your own person. Each broadcast, each brand, every person wants something different for their production. And at that time, you just may not be the right fit for that. And so that's kind of also another way that I try to approach it, which it's tough.
No, for sure. I've got to know that. So the Gamer Awards, I automatically say Gamer, but the Game Her Awards, they were incredible. Like, I follow a lot of people on Twitter, or X as we're now calling it, who were saying how hyped they were about the whole event. And I saw, obviously, when the nominations were up and everything else. Like, how was that experience for yourself? Like, obviously, people got to see, like, how involved you were when you were interviewing other people or anything like that. But what was the whole experience like for yourself? And I imagine it was surreal.
Yeah, so it was really cool. Like, yes, I'm a host. Yes, I'm a commentator. But in terms of, like, doing red carpet interviews and such, first off, that's something I've always dreamed about doing. I would love one day to be able to do more of that type of work, even going to, like, anime launch reveals where they've got movies and, like, kind of interviewing. Like, that is something that my goal is to eventually get to down the line. So this was really cool to be a part of. I've actually been nominated for Shoutcast Her of the Year 2 different times. Yeah. I've never won the award, which is fine. And I didn't make it to the finalist this year. So I was like, oh, I was a little bummed about that, right? But they did reach out and were like, we would love for you to host and commentate and do all red carpet interviews. And I was like, you know what? Like, sure, I don't care that I'm not a finalist here, because in the end, you technically won the event because you're working at it. And I think there would be a little bit of conflict of interest if I'm working the event and nominated at the same time. I don't think I could be like, and SpiderTiff, aka me. It's
You
just
just
not
run out
gonna be.
handing yourself something to yourself, and yeah.
Yeah, you can't do that, but it's been really cool because everyone behind the scenes at the Gamers, like they just want to keep growing and keep highlighting people in that space and just bringing everyone together. So to see it completely live and in the flesh, like this time, it's like this is just a level of growth because everyone in that room, every name that was called, people were cheering, hyping them up. Everyone was just so jazzed to be there. So it was a really cool experience. All the sponsors were super nice. Like I have never been in a room of people where you've seen so much sincerity. Like people are just walking up to you. They're just like, "Oh my God, like I love your dress. I love your not just to me, but I'm like witnessing it happen everywhere. Just I love your content. Let's grab photos, let's vlog." Like people were just genuinely in such high spirits. So to be a part of that, it's kind of empowering in a way, right? Like you're
Yeah.
just like, this is a good space. These are some good people. And even Melissa, who I got to co-host the virtual awards with prior to it, like I didn't know her going into that. That was the first time I worked with her. And she was an absolute gem, but hearing her story throughout, like what she typically does and kind of moving forward, then working and then going to the red carpet and getting to interview people, it was really great. I wish it would have lasted longer because there were some really good moments and it was fun,
Yeah, I mean, the experiences that you pick up from that, and why I always notice with the sports awards and other award shows that I've been lucky to be a part of is like the networking options, but also like everyone that you talk to, like you said, everyone that you talk to is so genuine, and they're all there for the same reason. Like they're all
Mhm.
there to hype each other up. Now, yes, you need each other to push yourself to be the top of your game. So
Yep.
like you're saying with people at the very top, they're still relying on the people that are deemed underneath them to keep them pushing to stay at the top. So
Yeah.
everyone, even though they're all competitive to a certain point, everyone is still there to hype each other up, show everyone love. And that's what I absolutely love about all these award shows. And I mean the red carpet, like I had this when I was talking to Ali, who's part of the esports world, who is talking with their broadcasting.
Yep.
The way he talks about that red carpet, and I got to see him directly, like the amount of effort that goes into the red carpet. And it's the area crossover that I have with my partner where she's not that interested in all the gaming. Now the Mobies that are heading over to London, she's super hyped about, especially Warzone coming to mobile as well. Cannot wait for that.
Yes.
Like that's going to be incredible. But she loves the red carpet side of it. She is obsessed with looking what everyone's wearing and
Yeah.
seeing how everyone's acting. Like, is it? Do you see yourself, like you said, going forward? Is that like the perfect scenario for yourself, being able to host like these red carpet events? And it doesn't just have to stick to gaming, I guess. It's you start somewhere, but there's so many award shows that involve red carpets. Is that something that you'd love to get involved in more?
Oh, 100%. Like that is so fun. Like I want to be there and see what people are wearing and like what they're most excited about and ask them these super quirky questions because I don't want to just ask traditional questions. I'm kind of a little weirdo. So you never know what's going to come out of my mouth. Sometimes I just like, I have these blinders that come up and I'm just like, I just talk and just start popping off people. Like I think at the Gamers, I ended up singing karaoke for a hot like 30 seconds with someone on the red carpet. I don't, it was Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. Like, don't ask me how we did that for 30 seconds. Like, it just kind of casually happened. You never know what you're going to get, but we're
Sometimes
going to
Bon
have a good
Jovi's
time.
just gonna happen. It just
Yeah,
happens.
it just happens. It just comes out, and you're just like, well, that was a moment. And literally, she came up to me after and was like, I just want you to know, my mom just texted me and was like, how did you know that I wanted to sing that or I would totally do that? And I was like, I didn't know. It was just in the moment. And when things like naturally come out and you get to see like a piece of someone's personality or soul shine through, it's just a joy. Plus, everyone's looking amazing. All the dresses are awesome. And that's what most people are like. They want to see the fashion and like what people put into it. Like, I know people that go to the esports awards, you'll see them getting like custom built suits for it.
Oh,
And like, that is so cool. Like, tell me the story behind that. Like, why did you make these decisions? I know that if I get to style myself, like I'm still working on my own personal style because I'm kind of a little bit of one of those elder emos where I just want to wear black all the time, but it's like I can't do that. So like one of my dresses for an upcoming event, as soon as I saw it pre-ordered, I pre-ordered it. It gives me like a Hunger Games vibe, but it's also going to
sweet.
look great with like blonde and like tan and like I just want to wear it. But it's like you put so much thought into an event and going to it to showcase yourself, to meet other people in gaming. It's like how you never know, like, what's the story behind that dress? Like, did you get a good deal on it? Have you been planning this for months? I don't know. I just want to know.
Oh, I had the luxury of year one when I done the award show. I was involved in the red carpet at the end of the red carpet, and it's almost like everyone who goes onto the red carpet, they're always a little bit nervous. Now, yes, they will show their confidence, they will, but they've got to remember that it's like the start of the whole thing for them. So they're going to be in front of cameras, and I get the end of it where you almost see where they've showed themselves in their best light. They feel they look incredible, and they come to me at the end of the red carpet where they almost like have a moment of just like and breathe, and then you get to talk to them directly about like what they're wearing. And I mean, for me with the guys, it was any guys that were wearing sneakers with suits. I remember the first year I was in a blue tweed sort of 3-piece suit, and every guy that came up went 3-piece suit. There you go, and you hit it off straight away just based on fashion. So
Yep.
some people don't enjoy it. I love the idea of wearing a pair of Jordans with a suit. It's my look. It works for me. But I noticed that the first year of the award show that there were other guys doing it, and every single one that are doing it is the first thing we went. They'd point down and go, Jordans with a suit, love that. And it's like straight away you're hitting it off with these people, and it's I'm a sucker for when it comes to the fashion side of it. And when people say like, oh well, I got my hair done and I got a little bit of blue in my hair, so then obviously I had to make my dress match it, and obviously I've got the shoes and the spark. And like you said, they go into a full story about why it is they chose to wear that color. And some people will be like, oh, I was working on this game and this was my favorite character in this game, so I decided to.
Yep.
Yeah, it's unbelievable experience. Have you got any plans for any up and coming, what's next for yourself in terms of, have you got anything in that sort of light?
As far as award shows, not so much right now. I for my schedule, I'm pretty booked out with a lot of Call of Duty Warzone broadcasts, a bit of ALGS sprinkled here and there. We just announced recently where the first Split One playoffs is going to be. That's going to be in LA. So fingers crossed. I can't say anything, but
No.
I have some contracts that are signed for the upcoming months. So we'll see where I end up, but there will be some traveling. And I think I'm going to be going to another event maybe in state of Texas. So we'll see how that goes. Not an award show either, but we'll see. Bunch of remote broadcasts. You mentioned Warzone Mobile. I've been like grasping at the realms of just trying to figure out how to break into that because I'm self-represented. So I actually don't have an agent that reaches out and to all these companies that looks for spaces or gets deals for me. Like it is just solely me. So I've been like, who, where, how, like take me back to Verdansk. I've done hundreds of broadcasts on Verdansk. I'm very aware of like I've worked on PUBG Mobile. I've done a lot of stuff, but like since Warzone Mobile, maybe breaking into the competitive scene, like I haven't done that yet. So it's like coming for it. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but yeah, I'm looking at you, Warzone Mobile. We're going to do this.
Gonna get that.
We're going to do this.
How much tougher is it that I guess the decision to go without an agent, like without giving away too many secrets, like how is the process of like getting yourself involved in these situations? Is it like me where with my podcast where I'm having to hit DMs or contact friends of friends and just be like, listen, this is what I've done, here's a sample of what I've done. Basically you're giving yourself almost like a CV of this is me, this is what I'm trying to do, this is the idea, are you interested? Is that sort of what it's like?
Yeah, no, it's essentially the same thing. It works the same in like any industry, right? You're going to get what you're going to get, and then you got to put the work in. So right now I have a reel. It's kind of outdated. I need to update it with ALGS champs from last year, like Warzone. I went to London and we did the global finals over there. So I've got some pieces from that. I could put the gamers awards in there. Like I could totally do a makeover for mine. Mine right now does have a bunch of LAN experience in it, but it was from like the early LANs in 2023. So we could definitely do a facelift on it, but I keep a reel, not like a reel, but like a spreadsheet of every event that I've ever worked with the production companies. And for the recent events that log maybe those VODs and they go to YouTube, I'll put the YouTube link so you can go there. You can see the whole VOD in action, not just like that highlight reel. Plus, like I'll also keep boasting about it on social media. Like that is your brand, that is your butter, that is where people like, and it tends to see a bit of a recency bias. It's like work begets work begets work. Like you see someone on something, it's like, okay, they just did that. Now they're going here. It's like, clearly they're busy. I want that hype on my broadcast. I want to keep that train moment moving. And it kind of does just that, right? Like little pieces, they'll see me say, hey, I just saw you on this. I would love to have you do this. And it's like, well, I just worked with her on this. She absolutely slayed it. Let's do it again. Yeah. It's pretty like consistent in that regard. Not having an agent it has a lot of benefits and it has a lot of flaws as well, because if there's new titles coming out, I won't necessarily have access to that. It's going to take me a little bit of time to build a genuine connection with someone if I haven't worked with them before, for them to trust me and be like, okay, you know, I want to work with you, especially if I've never worked with them before. But if it's someone that I have worked with before and they're like, oh, we do have this new title, would you be interested? It's a little different, right? And a lot of the production companies tend to be the same throughout titles. So with World Series of Warzone in London, that was done by EE. So was ALGS at the time. So some of my producers are you know, directors of ALGS were actually on World Series of Warzone. So it was really cool to see them working in both spaces, but it doesn't always cross over like that. And something that can benefit you if you are a freelancer is you have the right to make your own schedule, right? I guess you can kind of do so with an agent, but when you consistently turn down work that your agent gives you, they can just kind of be like, at least that's how it was in like film, TV, commercial space prior to when I did a bunch of casting. I was represented in film and TV, which I'm still trying to like kind of work my way back into that because I've been taking a lot of VO classes. So it's just a lot of work, a lot of organization, a lot of following up on your invoices, making sure that people are paying you and
Yeah,
all
I
of
can
the fun
imagine.
stuff, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like owning your own business.
yeah, all the things you don't think about, all the little things that normally, like you said, if you're represented or if you're working for someone, all the almost the HR role that you realize now you're taking that on board as well, and you're having to do all of that. So I guess going back to younger days, shall we say? How did I say younger days? Because some people I've had on, they're in they're just turning 20 and stuff, and it ages me fast when we move on to how did gaming start. But what was
Yeah.
your first sort of memories with game? Can you remember what sort of console and games you were starting off with, and was it through family members, friends? How did it all start?
Yeah. So me, my parents kept the Super Nintendo and Sega. So like it was right when like I was in the PS2 era. So like we also had our Super Nintendo and our Sega and our PS2. So my first games that I remember playing in terms of console was the Super Nintendo with Super Mario Bros.
Yep.
So me and my little brother, we'd sit there, we'd grind it and we'd play it nonstop. We'd also play like Mario Kart, Sonic on Sega. For PS2, it was a lot of MX vs ATV Unleashed.
Ooh.
And Grand Theft Auto, because
Yep.
you know we used to race motocross. We'd be going on the way to the track. We had the PS2 in the back of the truck with the screens, and we'd be just playing because you know you'd be in the car from 2 to 6 hours on the way one way to a racetrack. So did a lot of that. It was good times. I never thought that it would kind of manifest into this. I always thought I was going to be an action sports reporter. Turns out I'm not, but I mean, it's kind of close in the same vein.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for esports to go back to the X Games so I can say potentially that I work in X Games, because that was like my childhood goal was to be an X Games action sports reporter, but it was going to be, you know, motocross, maybe like best whip, maybe some BMX and skateboarding, definitely not gaming. Like, I don't know how this happened.
I was brought up with BMX and like X Games BMX, and for me was, I remember when I started off, like I loved my gaming, but when I was doing my media, it was my friends were making BMX edits and doing BMX edits and going out to BMX events, and Harry Main, who's a Scouser who's not too far away from where I remember the first time I was out on my BMX, and I'm 6'6". I slowly, and when I say slowly, I very fastly outgrown a BMX, and it just was never going to be for me. But in the early days where I could do it, I remember going to skate parks and just watching professionals BMX, and I say like, this is me, this is what I want. Like, and then seeing the X Games, and then when getting esports involved with the X Games game would be unbelievable. Like,
can it just happen? Can it just happen? Also, you're massive. I am 5'2", 6'6". I can understand why you outgrew it super quick. Like for me, I'm not outgrowing much. I ran into the issue when I moved on to bigger bikes and motocross that I just simply wasn't tall enough. Like I was struggling against people that were like 5'5", 5'7". I was like, come on, ladies, like, can't you just all be a little shorter? Like, why did I have to be so tiny? So the super mini era was my era.
When I try and do go-kart events or anything, it's always the same as like knees around my shoulders while I'm trying to go around corners and stuff. Like, don't get around downhill. I've got the advantage on anyone. I've got the weight and size behind me, but after that, it doesn't work out. I mean, just dipping into motocross, are you still active with it now, or no? How come?
No.
Why not? Why not?
Why not? Man, I ask myself that every day. Like, I think back, like, I don't even remember when my last race really was, or if I knew that that was like my final race. Like my helmets, like this is like one of the first helmets that I ever bought with like sponsorship money that I had made from racing. So I kept that one. That was my like latest. It was like, because I was working with Answer at that point. Like I was a sponsored rider. I was on a team for amateurs. Like it was great. I had a good time. I guess just I would say family. Like my parents got divorced. My dad passed away, and then it was just like I was like, all right, well, I'm going to college. You can't, at that point in time, like the WMX was very like hit or miss, and trying to be a professional women's motocross racer wasn't really in the cards for a lot of people. Like a lot of the girls that tried to do it eventually started riding supercross and trying to qualify in the main events with all the guys because, you know, I mean, it technically is co-ed. Anyone can enter. You just have to be good enough. But, you know, that there's like there's a curve there. It's really tough for girls to be on the same level as the guys and compete with them, like no matter how fast they are. So they did just finally bring back the WMX. So I've been seeing tabs of girls like Jordan Jarvis and stuff competing again. So that's really great to see. But at that point in time for me, like years ago, it just wasn't something that made sense. So I originally went to school at Mizzou for journalism because I told myself I'm going to be an action sports reporter. Yep. I found out really quickly that, you know, in the first couple classes in a journalism school that I didn't really like writing what people told me to write about. You know, I didn't care. They're like, oh, go write a paper on this. I'm like, no, I don't want that. Like, I can't do that. Then I switched to international marketing. I was like, just get me my degree. Get me out of here fast. I can apply this to literally anything, and then I'll go do whatever. I took the first job out of college, so because I knew I had student loans, and that put me into the corporate world, which is very far away from where I needed to go. And now I'm trying to make it back.
Oh, listen, I'd done a year of college when I just wanted to be straight into work. I was just, I just writing and everything else. I was just there, like, don't get me wrong. I thought I was going to be an accountant. That was where I was at when I first started college, which says an awful lot because I ended up working in forensics for years before I got involved in any of this. So it's a completely different world. But I remember my next door neighbor but one was a professional speedway racer.
Oh.
And speedway to me that was my introduction to racing. So speedway, for the best way to describe speedway is it's like NASCAR, but with motorbikes. It's like you're only going around one way. It's a circle, or is it defined as a circle? But it's not technically a circle, but it's a round track. You're just going around one way. And one of my best friends growing up, he was the same. He got to a certain age, and he didn't keep going with it. Whenever I talk to him, I know he still probably regrets that decision because his dad's still doing it now, you know, in his 50s, 60s. It's one of them. And I remember that's what got me obsessed with the why is it TT racing over in the Isle of Man, which is a dream of mine to go and see that. Like I still go to, so in the UK we have a couple of racetracks. We have Alton Park and Town Park, and they do the GP racing.
Yep.
And I don't have. I'm gonna say I don't have the balls to do it. I wish I could. Like, I love my driving. I will drive my car. I will do racetrack events. I'll do sport events. But the idea of going on a motorbike, I mean, for one, my girlfriend won't let me. She's categorically said I'm not allowed a bike. So I'm there like, well, I guess I'm not allowed a bike. But it's the adrenaline rush must be unbelievable. It's just you and a bike. Like, is it as insane as it looks?
Oh, it's 100% insane. It's crazy. Like, we have some friends that have made it to like the top level, and like even just watching our friends race like Supercross week in, week out, we're just like, oh my God, like at least one of us, you know, one of our like friend group made it out there, and it's really cool to watch him every weekend. But no, it's crazy. But to be fair, I will say commentating does give me that adrenaline rush. So I think you just always, once you've done stuff like that, you start craving it, and you need it. And the remote broadcasts, for me, they're fun. They're great. They don't give you the adrenaline rush like a live event does. So like working a LAN and like casting in a sold out crowd or analyst desk on, like, let's just say ALGS match day, championship Sunday, like we're talking, it's match point, something's on the line, something's going to happen. You're on that desk, like you feel it, and you're just like, that is it. And that is as close as I have ever been to racing motocross.
Now, I'm going to move slightly back to game again. Did you ever play any racing games?
For me,
because I imagine that once you've done motocross for real, the idea of then doing it nowadays we have like the Formula E, and they've the way that racing's moved into gaming, I think, has completely changed. But I feel like when I was younger, like the idea of playing a MotoGP game or a Gran Turismo or something like that, compared to actually going out and ride your bike, was it almost like you didn't get anything from it?
I don't get anything like from the motocross games that are out there. And quite frankly, I don't really play them now. I know some of our friend group does. My husband plays them a little bit, but it doesn't do anything for me. Now, granted, I have never dabbled into like F1 or like the simulator type of games, but I've also never driven real cars. Like I have a cut. Well, technically, is he my cousin? Yeah, I believe he's my cousin. I don't know if he's a nephew or a cousin through marriage. So we'll go with it. But he races late model cars, which so his goal is to eventually do NASCAR. And so
Yeah.
watching him kind of grow up through that, he has a simulator in his house. So I mean, maybe I'll pop on that and I'll have to ask him next time I see him, like, is it similar enough? Like, I guess it just it's hard to say.
How competitive was it in your house when you were gaming with was it your little brother, did you mention?
Yeah. It's always competitive. Anything we do in life, it's just whether it was gaming, whether it was just living, whether it was like walking to the house or trying to get to the pool first, like it competitive. And he definitely has a scar on his face right here for me. And I'm sorry, like I got to the pool first.
I have the same with my little sister, to be honest. She has a nasty scar on her hand where we were rushing to get. Do you know what? I think we were probably competing just to who could get to the dinner table first or
See,
something.
it's something random.
And you push out the way, hang on the door, and I was like, I'm sorry, I did win though. I got there first. I mean, sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I like my hand. We were like sliding around this banister, we came down the stairs and we were like, you would pull your hand, you'd like spin to go right the other direction. And I think my hand went over his, and instead of him like turning and going straight, he like, did a full circle and hit the banister.
That's
my bad, bro.
Hey, listen, you won though. I mean,
true.
Outside of like Warzone and Apex, what other things nowadays do you enjoy playing? Are there any games that, so when you're looking at Twitch and stuff, is there anything that you actually really enjoy playing that you gutted that probably wouldn't be as popular on Twitch? Like, because there are some games that I feel nowadays, there's some games that are really easy to watch, and half the time it is just down to who's casting, commentating, or playing. But are there any particular games at the moment that you're really enjoying?
I always watch Valorant. I love watching Valorant competitive. It really excites me. I've dabbled in commentating it a little bit. I haven't really played it too much. I originally played it a lot when it dropped in beta, and like any new agents that come out, like I'll sit down, I'll learn them. But for the most part, I just don't have enough time personally to invest to be really good at that game. So it kind of irks me because I want to be good at the games that I play. I play a lot of Pokemon Go because of traveling. And I feel like if I ever could, cast that, I probably would, but I'll watch Pokemon Go broadcasts, which I feel like that's almost like a guilty pleasure admitting that. Yeah, I'm a big Pokemon fan, but I have been for my entire life. Like I've got my Game Boys, like my OG stuff all behind me.
I've still got my Pokemon Red and Pokemon Yellow sort of ready. Like if I've got Pikachu following me around while I'm going around, I'm happy.
It's a good day.
I can waste hours on that and have no guilty feelings about it whatsoever. I was gonna say, what sort of people do you watch then? Who's your sort of go-to? Obviously, like you said, when you're preparing for an event and you know that you need to actually like sort of research like what's going on, you'll have individuals I imagine that you target. But like who's your go-to if you would like trying to sit back and chill and just put a stream on? Or do you even have time for that?
I mean, I'll pull people up in the day or at night. Like, so it just really depends on what's going on. Like if my husband and I are just kind of chilling and we're like, oh, let's put something on TV. It's going to probably be Apex. It would probably be Timmy, Nicewig, or Hal. Those are kind of like his three that he'll be like, oh yeah, I can watch them. If it's me, I just kind of look at my friends list. Like I just pulled it up right now and I was like, all right, well, like, let's see who's live. Who would I actually put on right now? It varies. And it also really depends on what kind of mood I'm in. Currently, they've got the Call of Duty Warzone mobile broadcast going on, the whole launch event. So out of my entire page, I'd probably drop in and either watch that or some VCT Madrid work. If not, I got Hackis on here. He does Apex. He plays on Alliance, competitive player. He's got a really good music taste, so I'd probably listen to that just solely for the music. Like, that sounds crazy, but that if it's going Warzone, it's probably Lola or Breadman, someone like that. Yeah.
Nice. So, in terms of if you were trying to suggest to someone, if someone's interested in getting involved in Twitch, or not just Twitch, but if they're any aspect of what you do, sort of, I guess I could say Twitch and then onto more cast and commentary. Like, what sort of like advice do you have for people? Like, I'm assuming number one, it's hard to say, but put in the work or research what it is that you're looking to like play the game that you're looking to cast.
I think it's just, what do you want to get out of it? Like, do you just want to stream to just talk to people and hang out? Are you trying to make this a job? Like, what is your goal with creating content and streaming? Because, some people, they just want to stream. They just want to pop their game on. They've got a normal job. This is just like a total afterthought for them. And it's like just something that's like a hobby. But if you want to make it a job, it's how do you approach this? Know that you have to create content. You have to network. You have to treat it like it's a job, which can always, you know, be a little daunting because it takes a little bit more of the fun out of it. So you have to keep it fun, keep it fresh, but knowing that something's on the line, it's like, how do you approach that? It's like, I don't have a normal job, streaming, casting that has to pay my bills, and that can get a little stressful at times, right? So you have to try and, you know, keep it fun. Play what you love to do, just do it. That sounds wild. So if it's a hobby and you're like, "Oh, you know, I just don't know if people will show up." Cool. I mean, there's a very real possibility that that could happen. But at the end of the day, if you're doing it for yourself and it brings you joy, that needs to be enough. And so if I'm popping up on my stream and I'm like, you know, I just want to dabble in a new game, I should know that, hey, a lot of people might not show up for my new game. They're not interested in that content from me, but I want to do it anyways. So I think it's just finding out what you want to do, what the goal is, and just keep working towards it.
We need a Pokemon Go Twitch stream.
I don't
We need
know
to
how to
go on
do that. Like
just,
I
you'd need a
look,
second person one. You'd need some, I don't know.
I need to figure it out because I need to figure out mobile streaming in general because
Yeah.
I want to play Warzone mobile. And I'm like, I don't even know how people do all that stuff. So the technology aspect of it, that's hard enough.
Oh yeah, it's screencasting. So I don't know if it begins. I tried it once and it seemed okay, but yeah,
Ooh.
there's a lot of work in there, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of people that think it's the same. But Warzone Mobile coming out now, there's going to be a big boom fast, and I think getting involved in that as early as people can is that gets yourself in the right position for that. Let's say that the esports and X Games became friends, and we had something coming up, and you received I don't know, someone dropped you DMs and said, right, Tiffany, we want you to do it. It's you. But we need you to pick two other people to cast with
Ooh.
you. And you want someone that you know is in the casting world that will be good, but also a second person who can have expertise or just bring a lot to it. Who are the two people that you're picking?
Am I casting games at X Games or sports? Ooh, yeah,
Hey, listen, do both. We've got time. Let's start with the game. If you were casting games.
Oh my God. If I'm casting games at X Games and I need someone that's going to bring like an actual level of comedic relief to it, I'm picking my friend Dandro. Dude is absolutely hilarious. But if I need it to be, if they want to go for like maybe more traditional or like a really solid play-by-play, like they're both solid play-by-plays, like they're just both totally different. Like you want like that traditional level sportscaster that could go like sports casting or esports. I'm going Goj. We'll give it like a little co-ed duo on either or, both really solid people. But if I had to bring someone like outside of casting that I knew could do really well from sports, apparently my friend Sean Hackley that I used to be really close with back in the motocross day has been doing commentating for motocross.
Okay.
So he just started, I guess. And I know he used to train a bunch of kids. So maybe I would pull him in the booth because he would know everything about the motocross realm and action sports as well. So I would do that. Even though I haven't talked to you in like years. I see you, homie. I see you grinding.
This is the start now. This is the start.
Yeah.
I asked the same with Ali when we mentioned about the red carpet, and it was a similar question. So again, hypothetical, but red carpet event. Who is your dream? Could be anyone. Person alongside you hosting a red carpet event, and then also that award show that the red carpet's for. Who would you think would be a great duo to host?
Ooh, so
And let's say it's a gaming award show. Just rather than it being like, let's not say it's like the Golden Globes or whatever. Like if it was a gaming award show, but they don't have to be involved in gaming. Who would be like the best sort of award show presenters and also red carpet presenters? Because I already know one answer from Ali, and I'm curious to see what other names get shouted out.
Oh my God, like a random realm of who I would want to host an esports award show with. I feel like I would need someone that understands fashion, but is also locked in and bubbly. Like I think I know fashion, but I know nothing. I know nothing. Granted, I'm wearing an Etsy hoodie that's for Demon Slayer
Listen,
right now.
I'm just
come
I will
on.
wear black or I will wear Japanese style,
Yeah.
some sort of grey, and that's my style.
Yeah. Okay. honestly, I know Lottie has worked with them before. I would love to work with Lottie in general. I don't know how we have yet to work an event together, so I feel like it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
I'm also really impressed by Frankie when I worked with her on World Series of Warzone. I think she would slay any kind of that. But outside of gaming,
I can tell you who Ali said for the red
yeah,
carpet
yeah,
drive.
tell me,
So
because
he
I'm
said
thinking of like
Ryan's.
a realm.
So he said Ryan Seacrest.
Oh my God. Well, of course he would.
He
Fine,
said he is
fine.
the ultimate red carpet.
I'm sure. Oh God. What about like just give me Jeff Probst out there? He's the host of Survivor. We'll just carry some torches and we'll just be like, your outfit is not enough. It does not give me life. And we just like snuff their torch. No, I'm just kidding. That would not work. But
It might not work, but people would watch it. People would watch it.
feel like your outfit does not satisfy us. You must leave kind of vibe. Oh man, that's tough because I'm just sitting here thinking of all the random things that I have watched recently and that I think would be amazing. I really can't think of one. That's crazy. That's really crazy.
And who are people that you've seen that have hosted before that you think have been incredible for award shows? Or is there a celebrity Joe that you just think, do you know what, they would really work? I'm trying to think. I was trying to think of like favorite comedians and stuff. But I said, like, do you want a comedian at a award show? I know, like,
A
obviously
lot of
Gervais
people
done it
love
at the Golden
that.
Globes and stuff like that was huge a few years back. So it's that line between, like, you've got your Jimmy Kimmels and stuff of the world now who have got, like, they can do both, can't they? They've got the comedic side, but they can do everything else.
Jimmy Kimmel would make it really fun now that you mention it. I'm like, when you give me the entire realm of like hosts, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna falter because there's a million. And the only thing
Oh,
that I've been watching lately is
you'll think
Survivor.
about it later and go, why didn't I just say, oh,
Yeah,
they'd be really good
why?
actually. Oh, they'd be really good.
Yeah, but I'm just like, I still feel like I'm trying to find the right person because like between all like the reality, like competitive shows that I've watched, I'm just always like, yeah, that would be fun to do. And they're usually like comedians. I always look up their background and it's always a comedic, like an ex stand-up or someone that's really heavy in improv. And I've done a ton of improv classes in Atlanta and it's just well, I'm not a stand-up comedian, let's be real. If I'm comedic, it's not me. I'm not trying to be funny. It just happens to be
Just
awkward,
natural,
right?
that's
Like
called.
I've just like made a complete fool of myself. I personally because I think that would be really cool one day. Like Jeff Probst can't host Survivor forever, can he? Maybe he wants to be done and let me just take the island of Fiji over for him. I don't know.
Oh, I was gonna say I had the two more factors. Basically, I'm just building your own sort of award shows. Ago, where's it going to be located?
Where is my award show going to be located? Everyone always does stuff in like LA, Vegas,
Yeah.
all of those cities, but I think it would be cool to find a town that's maybe like 70 degrees, kind of nearby the beach, like a beachy vibe where it's like outside, you've got some really killer views. Malibu's too expensive, but there's some really pretty places in like San Diego or maybe even like Wilmington. Like I've never been to Wilmington, but my partner's been to Wilmington. He's like, it's a beautiful little town. I just want something outside, but like no bugs. Like I don't like bugs. And it can't be like crazy hot or crazy cold, especially if you're going outside, but something cool. Actually, one of my friends, she does really large scale event planning for like corporate events. And I feel like if I ask her after this and I was like, if I wanted to do something outside for an award show that was elegant by the beach, where would that perfect city be? And she would totally tell me.
I was gonna say, is Miami too big, but also not like? Is it? Yeah, I see what you mean. I would choose Malibu over that, but then who's paying for it? If you're paying
Again,
for
not
it,
me. Not me. Esports don't work like that.
and then who's the musical guest?
Musical guest. Okay, well, if I was being completely selfish, I would pick someone like Silverstein or Blink 182 or something because I'm very
Oh,
much into like I told you I'm an elder emo. Like I need something like that. But you have to pick up something that's going to be like for everyone in that
no, it's your
moment.
award show. You think you
But
have to, but it's your
nah,
award show. Like Blink,
I would do Blink or like Silverstein or A Day to Remember.
you know, Travis could present as well. Like
Oh, that would
it
be cool. Could you
just
imagine?
because
That would
you
be
get the
crazy.
Kardashians involved, and then they're in the red carpet, and you've got the full thing there.
Oh, that would be wild.
And then my partner would force Taylor Swift and go, Taylor Swift will be there. Could you imagine like the amount of just because it would give me anxiety thinking about the security steps you'd have to have in place to have someone like Taylor
Yeah.
Swift at an event.
It would be crazy. It
I
would be
think my team would
crazy.
look after themselves. They'd be all right.
Yeah, it'd be fine. It'd be fine.
Well, I'm gonna have to start putting things in place to try and make the award shows happen now. I've got to try and find a place that's not too hot, not too cold. Speaking of someone from the UK, I can offer you lots of places that are cold in the UK. What did you think of London? Did you like London?
I didn't really get to like explore that much. I was actually over there for like a solid 3.5 weeks because I went from ALGS champs straight to World Series of Warzone. So I was in Birmingham for the first part of it, and then we dropped down and we were in London, like the proper. We were kind of by Piccadilly, and then I took an Uber and I went over and did a podcast for at Charlotte Tilbury. I did Tilbury time over there, so we kind of saw that. But I was working. I think I had 2 days in London, in Piccadilly, to actually go out and explore. And we found some really cute ice cream and like good recommendations from locals. And like I had some really good gluten-free gnocchi and just trying all different kinds of cuisine. And then I went and saw the Moulin Rouge. That was fun. I
Yeah.
enjoyed that. And then I went straight back to work. So then we went over to like Stratford area, which is kind of businessy vibes on the outskirts, and I worked. And then after that, I left like the next day. So it was great, but I was just really busy.
So you'll be over again to actually do it as a tourist rather than as a.
I would have
That's
to
what you've got
be.
to do. You've got to
I would have to.
listen. Some of the modern day race drivers, they're coming UK way. We're starting to catch up with a lot. We've always had a couple of people representing. I feel like we need to get a lot more out of the UK. Feel like we need to push that a lot more.
Hey, you never know.
For the rest of the year, what's from what you can say? You've said you signed contracts. I'm sure there's stuff you can't say. What's the rest of the year look like for you? Have you got any exciting events or things that it doesn't have to be events, it can be outside of esports, anything that you've got going on?
This weekend I am taking my niece to Disney World. I don't think she's been
Oh,
to Disney World, and she's like 5 years old. So we're kind of getting the crew together. It was super last minute. It like kind of stemmed from being out of town the past week for some family stuff. And then they were just like, while we're on this side, maybe we'll just drop down and go. And I was like, you know what, do it. So we're going. So that's
amazing.
this weekend. I'm excited to see her journey through that and kind of see it through her eyes. And then I've got a couple events where I'll be traveling, and I'm really excited to go to the cities. But for the most part, I think I've been there to those cities. So getting to see them and getting to see potential family from that side of the realm will be good. But I don't know. I feel like the best is yet to come, but I feel like I don't know what it is yet. Like I feel like there's something out there for me
It's
this
around the
year that
corner.
I don't know what it is, but I have like a really good vibe for it. I got an email for like an event at a veil check of people that I hadn't like worked with before. And even if that doesn't come to fruition for me, the fact that they're thinking of me and my name's there, like that's good enough for
Having
me.
your name in the hat for these sort of people is
Yeah.
huge, isn't it? Because there's so many events that can come off and they'll go, oh, we might be up for that. And they then, yeah,
Yep. You
names
never
to
know.
faces.
Yeah, so I don't know what is to come, but outside of what I've already locked in for the next like 3 to 4 months, and I mean I've got some stuff that goes all the way out till the end of the year, so that'll be great. But just kind of weaving in some extra things, I just feel like there's something on the horizon that's big, but I don't know what it is yet. I just have like I don't know, like I don't know what to
There's
call that.
something
You just
that is
you
it's
feel it,
gut
but you
instinct.
don't know what it is.
Something
Yeah.
good. Something good's coming. Before I let you go, what's your favorite Disney movie? Now I know that you're going to Disney. What is your favorite Disney movie?
My favorite Disney movie. Oh my God. When I was a kid, I had every single movie on VHS and I would just watch them all of the time. And I don't even, I mean, if I would have known at that point, like, I don't even know what my favorite movie is. My character on the My Disney app right now is Alice. Um, but yeah, I don't. I'm
I'm
gonna go
Tarzan.
Tarzan. I would go Moana. Moana is so cute. I watched that one a few times when it came out, and I watched Frozen. So I guess those are my favorite modern ones, but
Yeah, yeah.
we'll go Alice in Wonderland for the oldies.
Love that. First of all, like, thank you so much for coming on and spending time with us. I know, like you said,
Yeah, no
you're
problem.
putting all your work in for all your stuff, and I appreciate you probably got some packing to do as well, I imagine, for Disney.
Unpacking and packing. Like I
Oh,
literally
excellent.
just cranked. I think we
Living in a
landed at
suitcase.
like, yeah, we got in at like last night, and then I woke up this morning and I was like, all right, time to unpack and then repack. And then it's like we get back Sunday and I cast Monday, Wednesday, or Monday through Wednesday. So I was like, I'll sleep eventually.
Well, that's what coffee's for. That's what I've discovered
True.
now. Coffee is very much the answer. In the long run, maybe not, but current it is. For everyone who wants to find all your content, where is best to see you do your thing, apart from obviously on all the streams of all these events?
Yeah. So you can find me anywhere at SpiderTiff. YouTube. I'm slacking my YouTube content, but don't worry, there's good things to come. The only one that I don't have SpiderTiff on is Instagram. I'm SpiderTiff. and I will mostly be active on Twitter, aka X, Instagram, and Twitch.
Awesome. Guys, yeah, you need to help. Thank you again so much for coming on. I can't wait to see everything that's going on, and also letting us know a little bit about Apex. I'm glad to get a bit more of a shout out on that game, because I played
Yeah.
it when it first came out, and I know I'm probably going to finish this podcast and load it up because it's all there ready
Do it.
for me. Awesome.
it.
Right. For everyone listening, thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it as always. Any feedback that you've got, but also anyone who's listened who wants to come on and have a talk about anything. You don't have to be involved in esports. I've had people who've involved in the collegiate game, but we've also got people who, I mean, some of my friends have come on and told me how bad I am at gaming, which hasn't been great for my gaming ego, but I still appreciate them coming on all the same. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for listening. Until next time, keep gaming.